Well, another wonderful day here. The weather's supposed to get pretty shitty pretty quick. So today is Thursday the 22nd, I think. I don't know. Saturday the 24th. It's supposed to get really, really cold. I think the low's 23 here. If anybody knows South Texas or on the coast, it's very damp. So it's going to be pretty brutal. We don't like the cold. We don't put up with the cold down here. Plants don't like the cold. Power plants don't like the cold. Nothing here is designed for this weather. Sunday is going to be real brutal. I think the high is 33. So we're supposed to be below freezing for almost 48 hours. The last big freeze in 21, I think we were below freezing for like 115 hours. It was pretty wild. That's why everything gets so screwed up. So we don't really have a whole lot. So right now, the 2024 Platinum, we put the compressor on. It seems like it's good. I got my old man doing a drive test on it right now. He took it to work and took it back because he has a pretty good commute. I need it road tested. I don't have the time to road test it, so he's doing it. So far, so good. So if it makes it back with the compressor good, we're going to call it good, and then give him a call. He can come get his vehicle. Still working on selling that. We still haven't touched that. We just hadn't had the time because everything's all screwed up right now. And this guy, I went ahead and pulled the trigger. I know where we left off in the last video, we tried getting the stud out of the housing. Stud didn't come out of the housing. I got the turbos sitting back here on the, there they are. So, couldn't get this stud out here that we broke off. It's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but it's not great. And then, of course, the rear thrust seal on this low pressure turbo is in fact failing. So, I decided, again, I'm not too keen to spending a whole lot of money right now because I'm in a weird predicament with this truck. Not that I don't want to fix the truck, right? But the thing is I want to eventually, the plan is to rebuild this engine at some point, and we're going to rebuild it, and we're going to build it to my standards, and it's going to be a toy. It will be, we'll just call it the Red Rocket for now, the Mustang Killer, and because I mean it's a red truck, and I don't plan on changing paint schemes with this thing anytime soon. So that's what we're going to do in time. And now, from what I did the math, everything I want to do, not including labor, just parts, we're close to almost $14,000 to what I want to spend to get this engine about where I want it. That again is just the powerhouse. That is not including the transmission that will also have to be rebuilt, or the track bars I will have to install, or the lift kit I want to put on it. We already have the wheels or in the tire. I mean, there's a lot of things I want to do. Just a lot of money, right? And I'm just not ideally wanting to spend that at this moment. Later in the year, we can talk about it. Currently, the engine runs really good. It's got plenty of power. It is tuned. I mean, it runs just fine as it is. It's over 250,000 miles, and if I can get 300K out of this engine, I mean, at that point, I don't really care what happens. If it doesn't make it 300K, I get it. Hey, shit happens, right? Can't expect anything to last forever, is what it is. But I would like to get close to 300,000 miles out of it. We bought the truck with 248. It now has 258, so we've driven it 10,000 miles. Again, I'm not mad about an issue like this because the pressure regulator decided to fail on the pump, or we're starting to fail. I'm not mad. I bought the truck knowing that was a possibility. I bought the truck knowing that, hey, that it could fail within a week of owning it. It made it almost a year. So, again, all this truck is used for at the moment is to commute to and from my normal job. And when I'm off, I typically just drive the Ram. So, really, all in all, between both vehicles, I drive about 20,000 miles a year, as long as I don't travel a lot. We do travel. Again, the Ram's the only thing we take. So, I mean, this truck gets about 10 to 12,000 miles a year. Again, there's a lot of variables, but that's the baseline. So, what we're going to do is I went ahead and pulled the trigger. I bought a set of reman turbos. They're going to be here in about 30 minutes. We're going to put those on. I know we hooked the sensors off the other pump that was bad, that had just been sitting for a while out of the spare motor. And we put the sensors off of that onto the pump we had, which I know the pump mechanically is fine from what I know. So the crazy thing is we could put it all together and it could still act funny, which would maybe be a low pressure pump, possibly. Who knows? Or they could not work at all. The sensors on that pump could be bad too. I doubt it, but they could. And they are newer. The sensors off that pump are 2 years newer, and I'm pretty sure that engine has less miles than this one does. So the sensors should have more life in them. Should. It's all off of hope. If they don't work, we're going to pull everything back apart, not soon, right? I mean, if it doesn't work, as long as it'll fire up, I'm just going to move it all to the side, and we'll address it in a couple more weeks. We'll let this bad weather come by, and we'll worry about it then. I'll just throw it back by the barn. But ideally, we're going to put these reman turbos on this truck. We're going to put everything together. I got the fitting for the back pressure sensor. I got the new back pressure sensor with tubing coming because the other one was screwed up. What else? And of course, the reman turbos, which, I mean, for what they cost, the ones I want to put on here are the KC Fusions, the stage 1 and stage 2. Stage 1 high pressure, stage 2 low pressure. That'll put, according to KC, Turbo Time USA made them. I buy them Turbo Time USA, but they don't make 6.4 turbos, which is fine. But it'll put us around being able to support 1,000 horsepower, which is the 800 to 1,000 is where I comfortably want to be with this truck when it's done. Again, we'll do more talking about this engine later when we get closer to the point that, hey, we're going to build this thing. And of course, I'll talk more about why I choose a 6.4 platform over, say, buying an older 3rd gen 6.7 or a 5.9 and doing that. Now, nothing wrong with those platforms for making power. They're really easy to do so, and they're real safe to do so. But I have a thing for power strokes, if anybody hasn't noticed yet. And I also have a thing for the most hated power strokes, because I see what good there is in them. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do. Hopefully everything works out fine. We'll bolt it all together, and we'll be driving this truck today. And ideally I can park the Ram again, and we'll start driving this truck from here on out for the next few weeks. That's the plan. Will that happen? Hey man, I don't know. Hopefully. If not, it's whatever. I'm not mad. Just disappointed. But just to catch up again, we pulled the pump out, we changed the sensors, put the pump back in, we put a new gasket harness in, so it's got a new harness. All that's good. We got new high pressure fuel lines which go, that got caught, to the rail. We resealed the turbo pedestal down there. All new O-rings, new bottom drain seal. Again, we're just waiting on the turbos. The new up pipes, we changed those. We had a leak on the crossover. No, excuse me, not the crossover. We had a leak on the driver's side up pipe on the expansion joint, which that's a fast way to kill a turbo. Really what that'll happen is if you have an exhaust leak like that, the exhaust back pressure will not hit set point from what the ECM is requesting, and it will work the vanes more closed on the high pressure, which will end up driving the high pressure turbo harder, therefore causing premature failure, which most of the time ends up leading to shooting oil down the exhaust, and if you don't catch it, well, you run the motor low on oil, and possibly end up costing yourself an engine. Best case, you cost yourself a set of turbos. Typically, I don't know most shops going rate, but I will say about the average price to replace factory turbos, not up pipes, just replacing factory turbos, parts and labor, give or take, is around $4,000. Okay, that's just, and that can vary from the area you're in. From the area I'm in, that's about what it costs. If I was to bring this to another shop, and say, hey, replace the turbos. So that's just kind of keep that in mind. These trucks are not the cheapest thing to own. They are expensive to repair, and the thing is, you have to repair these things correctly, or they get a lot more expensive. Cutting corners on these engines will cost you more money in the long run, and a lot more money in the long run. So these can be great engines, and these can be freaking absolute nightmares that will damn near cause you bankruptcy. So again, my benefit myself, yes, I do this for other people. I work on other people's trucks, but I also don't have to pay myself for labor working on this. If I was, how much it would cost for me to pay myself to do this, doing up pipes, pulling turbos, and having, of course, really, if it was a customer truck, we would be replacing the high pressure fuel pump. We could just do a sensor too, depending on, what we end up finding, what's wrong with it. And I mean, you're gonna talk, $5-6 grand, give or take, and maybe some leniency there. Up pipes are not that expensive, but they are an absolute pain in the ass to deal with. Yes, cab lifting is easy, but it's really not. To me, the amount of extra time it takes, it's far easier to do everything with the cab off. 100%, I won't argue that. But I can do everything with the cab on fairly easy, and if I need to, I can undo the bolts, jack the cab up 4 inches or so, and give myself even more room to do what I need to do, but I don't even do that because I don't need it. So again, that's just me. That's what I do. To each their own. Everybody can bitch and moan, well, you should have done this, blah 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 blah. I don't give a shit. This is the way I do it. It's what works for me. If what you do works for you, then do you, bud. So We're waiting for the turbos to get here. We'll set them in there. We'll get everything bolted up. We'll crawl back underneath. We'll tighten the up pipes up, make sure all that's good. We'll put the fitting on the exhaust back pressure sensor, get the down pipe set up, go ahead and hook her back up, put the V-band back on, bolt the down pipe back up on the flange down there. We did have to undo that to give us room to fight the passenger side up pipe in. Then we'll put the fuel cooler and U pipe in. Then we'll button up this. We'll put the feed hose, or excuse me, return hose from the fuel cooler to the fuel filter housing, intake, the rest of the bullshit, and then begin to prime the system. It's going to be an absolute pain in the ass. We are going to do a hot prime. What I mean by that is we will crack, we will use the Schrader valve to bleed majority of the air, but we will crack the rear banjo bolt coming from this line here to the cooler to help bleed. There is a special fitting you can buy to bleed these, about $110. I have yet to buy it, and I need to buy it because since we keep 264s around 24/7, it only makes sense. But I'm also going to crack the 17mm high pressure line that feeds the driver rail. That will also help bleed air out of the piston cavities of the pump, which will cut bleed time by a lot, because instead of having to force the pump to build pressure and force it in deadhead against itself, it'll have a point to blow off. That way it bleeds quicker. You can push the air out a hell of a lot faster than having to build up pressure and try to throw it through the rail, which then ends up getting into the injector. So that'll also help keep air out of the rail too. So can't really do that one unless you pull the glow block controller. You could, if you want to, by all means. I just do this one because it's easiest. And whatever. So the bleeding process, is, if anybody's ever watched me bleed this truck particularly, it's a freaking pain in the ass. And then some. So I digress. Let's put this thing back together and get the Red Rocket alive. Alright, so just a little step in here. Number one, if you're not competent or very mechanically inclined or really know how to work on things, I don't advise doing this yourself. Pay somebody like myself. But anybody that does, use anti-seize on them bolts. If you don't use anti-seize, you're sorry. Alright, you're a sorry ass person, because that, even, you know, 10,000 miles down the road, it'll make your life far better. Hang on. But as I was saying, always put anti-seize on them, because whenever, at some point, everything has to come back apart at some point in its life, right? Unless it just gets scrapped. It makes it, and especially this one, I've always used anti-seize, the bolts have always come out real nice. Real easy, not a fight. So I have them snugged up. They're hand tight, they're not tight. So I'm gonna go underneath the truck now, which I can't record because there's no room. I'm gonna tighten up the flanges on the manifolds. Once those are good and tight, I'm gonna come back up here. I'm gonna tighten those up, and then I'm gonna tighten the up pipe, or excuse me, down pipe. Too many pipes. Put the down pipe on, put the V-band on it. Everything lined up real good. I was actually kind of surprised. It's the first one I've ever had to sit directly where it's supposed to. I was kind of shocked by that. It's really weird, because this one always fights me. It's always the high pressure that fights me on this one. It doesn't want to sit down on the pedestal or the drain tube. This one just bloop. I was like, okay. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Go underneath there, we'll tighten that up. We'll come back up, and we'll finish tightening the up pipes. Flanges, get those tight to 6 bolts again, real easy. Always replace the bolts too. Never reuse the bolts. Do not reuse the freaking bolts. You're a dumbass if you do, or real lazy, and you will regret it in the long run. So we did that. We've already tightened the clamps down to hold the turbo down to the pedestal itself, which are pretty extreme considering it's like, I mean, the clamps are pretty beefy. You can actually hoist the motor from them 2 bolts, which is funny. I mean, because them freaking, the clamps are built like the weight of the engine and then some. It's like these turbos are, you know, gonna freaking twist out of here, even though they're never going to, because the the energy generated from them turbines spinning it'll never make enough to make these things like whatever. It's just funny. Overbuilt. That's it though. So that's what they look like sitting in there, nice and pretty. They won't stay that pretty for long. About 1,000 miles, they'll be rusty. Because it burns a nice coating of oil off of them. But that's what we're gonna do. So just to kind of give you an idea how I do it. And then we'll come, once those are tightened up, we'll come back. We'll put the fitting in for the EBP, put the EBP tubing in, and then we'll work on getting the fuel line, which goes from here to the cooler. Pretty much it's from the cooler to the filter. We'll get the hose clamp or hose back on the boot. Excuse me, as I'm thinking boot with the clamps for the charge pipe on the hot side. Get the U-bundle with the fuel cooler in, bolt her all up, get it nice and situated, and then everything else. Heat shield, intake, oil drain, all that stuff. You're supposed to drain the oil. Obviously, you always want to put a fresh oil in the motor when you change turbos. The reason I'm not going to, number one, this oil change does not have a lot of miles on it. Number two, I want to verify that we are not generating oil by putting diesel in the oil from what we did, because it didn't have a rear gasket, or didn't have a new gasket for the pump. So we'll see. I think it'll be all right, but I'm gonna verify. We're gonna run it 100 miles or so and check it. If we're putting fuel in the oil, that's enough to, if we catch it early enough, which I'm sure we will, because I'm monitoring it like a freaking hawk. But if we catch it early enough, it'll restrict the risk of hurting the turbos or the engine itself. So that's the goal. I don't want to hurt anything. We don't need any collateral damage, essentially. So especially with new turbos. But yes, always change the oil when you put turbos in. If the oil change was closer to it needing to be changed, like 1,000 miles on this oil change, it ain't shit. Typically I run 6 or 7 on these, and same for the Cummins. If we were closer to the change, I would say let's go ahead and do it, but I don't even think there's 1,000 miles on it, so we're going to run with it. That's it though. So underneath the truck we go, my favorite place. Yay. Alright, blend it the exact same way I described. Pretty much manually control the pump with the scanner, turn the pump on, run it for give or take a few minutes, kind of intermittently open the strainer valve, bleed it out, turn it off, let the air kind of rise, turn it back on, prime it again a little bit till the air is pretty much minute. Cracked open that high pressure line right there, that way the fuel chambers can push out easy. You see it's all looks good there, everything seems fine. Rail pressure's holding steady, barely bouncing 30 pounds as it should. Flow sum is good. Exhaust back pressure, of course, should be pretty much nothing since, well, it's idling. Again, that should change. Oh yeah, perfect. So it's all bled out. She's running good. What is the temperature? Let me look at temperatures. She's close to operating temp, about 20 degrees away. So we're going to go ahead. I'm gonna take the cores back into town and get those sent back. That way we can worry about getting charged for them suckers. Put all this in a bag. This is the gasket that came with the turbo. I don't really like this crushed gasket there. I'll keep a lot of this just for spares in case I get in the bind and need them, instead of having to just buy a whole set. I did prime the turbo as a Prolube. I've never actually used this in that truck at all. It's actually been used in this one. But yeah, so we're gonna drive it around, make sure everything's good. I think everything will be just fine. I don't see why we'll have an issue, but you know, stranger things have happened. Truck sounds good though. Purrs. Not bad. No leaks. We already primed the secondary system for the fuel cooler. So I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this old girl is ready to be driven again. And I am very much okay with that. We'll take that in town. We'll probably come back. Might screw with this truck some more. We got time. I mean, hell, we got quite a few hours before I even got to be anywhere. So that's what we'll do. We do have to run an errand. We have to be somewhere at 5, so I'd have to leave here 4:20-ish, 4:30 to make that time frame. That's it though. So yeah, we'll see. We'll come back and we'll screw with this. We'll drive this, make sure everything's good. Hopefully it doesn't leave us on the side of the road. Fingers crossed. Alright, so we took old Red Rocket here on our test drive, and well, everything is fine. Runs good, fuel pressure does fine. I mean, I even beat on it a little bit. Just, I'm not really one to beat on my stuff at all, but we gave it a little bit of throttle just to see what it would do, make sure everything, you know, number one, the pump is actually doing its job mechanically. Number two, the sensors are doing their job, and make sure the low pressure system is keeping up with what it is. Now, granted, I don't, you know, the truck stays, it does have soft tuning on it. It stays stock. I don't turn it up. It's just me. Again, I'm just milking this engine to 300k, and then at that point we can abuse it, and if it dies, it dies, kind of deal, right? But we're gonna go ahead and change the oil in it. Got 4 gallons of Rotel. We got our FL 2016 oil filter. I'm gonna let this one cool off though, because it's, again, we just parked it. It's freaking hot. But we look over here and change the oil in this old girl. Again, Rotel T6 540 and a Wix oil filter 57620. You can run the XP version of this, whatever. Or you can actually run a Wix 51607, which was really for the second gen. Really, I guess I should say pre-03 trucks. So like 02 to, I think, all the way up to 87, 88, or somewhere in there. The only difference is one flow. I think 1 gallon per minute difference in flow is the difference in the filters. They went to a little bit less flow with these. I'm not really too sure why. Probably because these run higher pressure. The regulator on these are turned up a little bit higher than what the ones on the older engines are. I would think it has something to do with it. I never really looked that far into it to give you a true dead honest answer. Again, we don't have to do fuel filters because, if you can see there, we recently, in one of the past videos, we did the cat filter swaps on this one. So it has the cat front, cat rear spin-ons, which are cheaper, far better filters to run. We will be doing a black market performance intake on this truck at some point here pretty soon. Again, I'm not, like, definitely afraid that the old heater grid bolt's nut's gonna break off. I've never seen one personally happen. So there's that. Crankcase filter shouldn't have to be changed, and all I do, I break the filter loose from inside the fender well, but I pull the intake hose out, so from the filter to the turbo inlet, and I'll pull the oil filter out from the top instead of pulling it out from there and making a mess. Or you can get the little thing, the little tool that threads into it, and you can pull it out. Screw that. People whine and bitch about where that oil filter placement is. It's really not bad. It's really not bad at all, honestly. Just pull the hose out. It's 2 8mm hose clamps. Most of them do is pull the hose out, and then you got full access to the filter. But the Fords only run Ford filters on all of it, except for the air filter. I really don't care too much for the air filter. Air filter's an air filter. What's it gonna matter, right? But your oil filter, FL2016. That is the only filter that should ever go into the oil housing of this engine. And the 6.4, I believe, is the FD4615 or 16. 6.0 is the other one. 4 filters. Now, if you have a fast pump, I mean, run a Wix spin-on or the Fast or Air Dog or whatever brand, but when it comes to factory filters with Ford trucks, Ford only. 6.7 filters, I think, are FL. 2091S, I think, is the part number for them. Somewhere in there. So that's where it's at. So we're just going to change the oil real quick. Again, like this one, what I do with the Fords, I'll pop the cap first on the filter housing, pull it out, just going to let it drain. That way all the oil in the housing goes down to the crankcase. And then I'll drain the crankcase to the pan, bolt it up, put a new filter in there, fill her up, fire it up. Cummins, I pre-fill the filter all the way up to the top and let it filter down. The reason why I do that, and I know Cummins particularly says don't do it, I do it because I don't like a dry filter. I'd rather the filter somewhat be soaked with the oil. That way it's just, instead of forcing 50 pounds of oil pressure through a dry filter while it's trying to absorb, to me it seems like better. I don't know, just me. Do what you want. I'm not anybody's boss. So that's what we're going to do. We'll change the oil real quick, and then that's pretty much going to be it for the video. So thank you all for watching. We got this together. I was supposed to get another truck here today, but I guess it's not going to show up, so that's perfectly fine. Probably show up tomorrow more than likely, or even maybe Saturday, which would be even worse, because what the hell am I going to do when it's 30 degrees? So that's it, but I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you all for watching, and till then.